Please have a seat. Okay, if you have earbuds or whatever they're called, those earphones in, take those out. And if your cell phone is on, take a second to turn that off. Tonight, we are here to celebrate the individual and team achievements that have happened throughout the winter sports season. Before we get to the awards, I'd like to speak to you about a feeling I felt last Monday. A feeling as I walked around the fields and saw all of you attending to your first day of spring sports. And since then, a feeling I've had as I've seen you tossing a lacrosse ball with friends, throwing around the rugby ball, playing spike ball, and listening to music. It all felt very normal, and it's a feeling I hope we never take for granted again. It also hit home how tough the last few years have been, most recently for our winter sports teams. It made me reflect on how resilient you all are and how proud I am to be at the helm of the sports program with athletes like all of you. Your seasons had so much potential and then were cut short due to the latest variant, Omicron. What I'm proud of is that instead of pouting, you remained committed to your craft. You were told games were coming, and then they were canceled. You were told to wear a mask for practice, then take it off, and put it back on again. Through all of that, you stayed the course, adapted, and remained resilient. In this relative sense of normal we are living this spring season, I haven't forgotten about all of you who adapted and made the best of the challenging winter. You all have my utmost respect for persevering as Spartans always do. What you lived through will make you stronger, even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment. And, most importantly, hopefully grateful for the freedoms we have this spring to compete. Speaking of grateful, I'm also grateful for the many, many people here at Stanstead College who help you every day in athletics. Ms. Perron and Mr. Boulet in the Health Center. For a final time, your athletic therapist, Ms. LaBelle. All the good people in maintenance, in the kitchen, the laundry staff, and our drivers. Ms. Nikki Campbell, who is a very competent yoga instructor. Mrs. Wilkinson and Mr. Blair, who run an exceptional cross-country skiing program. And my wacky group of rec volleyball players. The basketball minor officials, aka the Skittles crew, Kate Ems, Leo Lee, Haley Wolf, and Sophie and Mr. Blair. Mrs. Wolf for her support and for managing our relationship with the RCQ. Mr. Faiz Akbar for creating a welcoming environment and getting everyone ready for after-school sports. And finally, your amazing coaches who give you their heart and soul to ensure you have memories to last a lifetime. The entire list of people mentioned above give you their all to ensure you have the most special sports experience possible. I'd ask that you show them your appreciation to all of them with a heartfelt, loud round of applause. And now on to the awards. Our first program to be recognized, Junior Boys Basketball, Mr. Coughlin.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Spurk. In my second year as an undergraduate student, I took an American literature class that required me to read John Updike's 1960 novel Rabbit Run, which chronicles some personal struggles of a former high school basketball star living in suburban Pennsylvania. At one point in his journey, he seeks out his old coach for advice. It's not a great book, but alongside the video game NBA Jam, it was probably the main source of my experience with the game called basketball prior to the start of this season. As a result of this, I needed to ask for a lot of help from colleagues such as Mr. Blair, Mr. Liverpool, and Mr. Van Dyke, all of whom explained the game with clarity and detail as I slowly nodded my head, pretending to understand while trying to note down the key terms I would need to type into YouTube when I got home. So first things first, and on behalf of the team as a whole, I would like to thank them for their support. I know what you are thinking, those poor boys. Indeed. To have to learn to lay up from a guy who can only hit about 15% of his attempts and had to shoot from a guy who, on a good day, probably makes about 8 to 10% of those shots. This would have been bad enough, but there were other challenges. Illness and quarantines regularly cut our numbers down to a point that's made scrimmaging very difficult, and on a number of occasions we were geared up for our first game only to have it canceled on account of COVID concerns or punishing snowstorms. So it was tough, and things were not set up for these boys to have a great season. It is thus a great testament to them that they came to practice every day to work hard and to improve. They never lost their competitive fire or their desire for the basketball, even when they had played against each other over 35 times since the start of November. Johnny Zhang did not stop driving to the basket as hard as he could. Santiago and Joe learned to slowly bring the ball up the court and set up plays. Jose Guillermo played with more grace every time he stepped on the court. Miguel and Maxton sank more and more shots from outside. Emilio learned how to cut to open space, and Gonzalo to pull down and fight for rebounds. And Yuhei Wang learned how to maintain possession while barreling down the court like a freight train, his body angled at 45 degrees to the ground, and each dribble popping up to his ears. By watching them figure out the game, I was able to figure out some of it myself. As a result of their hard work and improvement, we basically beat the senior girls basketball team when they graciously agreed to give us an exhibition game just before our final game of the season. It was a real shocker for everyone. Now, my memory might be playing tricks with me a little bit here, but this game was a victory for us, even if they finished narrowly ahead of us at the end of the game. Narrowly. And then we played our one official game of the season, our one shot against Massey Vanier, and it was a real doozy. It was an old-fashioned barn burner. No major fouls, no major injuries, and a lot of back-and-forth basketball with a couple of great plays and shots in the mix. Though we didn't win, one of their players went on a real tear partway through the game. It was clear to everyone watching that with a little more experience and perhaps with a more knowledgeable coach, this would have been an excellent and a highly competitive team. So congratulations, boys, and thank you for your hard work and effort and improvement, and good luck to you as you move forward with this sport. It is my very sincere hope that your future seasons give you more opportunities to play and to show off your skills than this one did. So I have one award, the Sportsmanship Award, to give. This award goes to a player who always came to practice with a positive attitude and who quietly worked away at the game over the course of the season. As we practiced and played, it was clear to me that he was there primarily to improve and to enjoy the time he was spending with other young people. He was always polite and respectful and always distant from the tussles and the moments of tension that sometimes dotted our many practices. He is an all-around class act. He is a quiet but effective leader and was a great representative of our school in our one competitive outing. So I would like to give the Sportsmanship Award to Gonzalo Tapia.
Our next program to be recognized is U15, U18 hockey, Mr. Wells and Mr. Winquist.
Third U15 hockey team, the third U15 hockey team, was in a word, mythic. And I mean that in all seriousness and sincerity. A myth is essentially a story that communicates something worthwhile. In other words, something worth talking about, and this team was that. A very special group that triumphed despite seemingly unbeatable opposition. A group that wrote an amazing story through hard work and determination. A team that refused to quit ever. And that is all any coach can ask. Spartans in every sense, we had 9 skaters on a good day. Most of the time we had 7 or 8 playing against teams with 20. Most of our games were decided by 1 goal, and most of the time we were simply hanging on, desperate and exhausted. Often other teams would get frustrated and take cheap shots, but we kept our composure and never took bad penalties. Every player put the team first, knowing that being in the penalty box meant even more burden for the rest. In short, this was a team of winners. Not because we won every game, we did not. In fact, we lost our last game of the season, which for me was perfect. Because game score is not a measure of character. Our final game was another close one. We were up 1-0 early, and we hung on for 2.5 periods, finally giving up 2 goals in quick succession late in the game. Bad luck. So what? It happens, and it means nothing. Because it's not the outcome of a contest that you should use as a measure of success. It's what you do that matters. If you cheat and win, you're not a winner. If you play against a far weaker opponent and win, you have accomplished nothing. But if you give all that you can, if you try as hard as you can, if you work as hard as you can, and if you are willing to accept the risk of losing despite having done all that you can, then you are a winner whatever the score. Because it is the game itself that demonstrates the character of the players, not its outcome. This team did all that. They were willing to give their all, to risk losing, when it would have been much easier to simply say, we don't have a chance here, as people sadly often do. These boys, however, made a choice to live and tell a different story. And what they did, to me, was truly inspiring. I have 2 award recipients at the U15 level. They are Junior S award winners from amongst a team of exceptional players. I will ask that the 2 come up to receive their award with the U18 winners following Mr. Winquist's remarks. Our goalie, Gabriel Poitras. None of what we accomplished this year would have been possible without Gabe's outstanding play, game in and game out. Goaltending is probably the hardest position in hockey, certainly the most demanding mentally, and the most pressure. You don't have a team if you don't have a goalie. And this team, because of Gabriel's play, was given a chance to compete in every game. Gabriel is a true gentleman, and this Junior S award is well deserved. And our captain, Liam Huckins. Liam plays hockey the way it is meant to be played. He really gets the fact that a play is never truly dead, that you can almost always make something out of nothing. He gets that, and he gets that in the end it is a game of inches, and that if you make the effort, you will be rewarded. He doesn't worry about winning games. He worries about winning every shift. He was named captain because of his leadership by example, which is the only kind, really. There was one game where the C, the captain C, that was put on his sweater with tape was missing, and I asked him why he hadn't replaced it, and he said to me, "Sir, I didn't think I really needed it." And my response to him then was, that is exactly why it was given to you in the first place. Absolutely intrepid and unrelenting, and also a gentleman. Second Junior S for Thirds Hockey goes to Liam Huckins. Congratulations to Gabe and Liam and all the other members of this team and all of the members of all teams tonight. Remember that each day is an opportunity to write your story, write one that is worth being told. Thank you.
All right. Reflecting back on the year that was, this was a very unique team. In reality, we actually had two teams, a U18 and U15, playing games separately, but we practiced together. So this pitted some grade 12s practicing with grade 7s. It was definitely an odd situation, but somehow we made it work. Leaders such as Dennis, Mateo, Wills, Charles, Joe, Sandro, and much more took this opportunity to be leaders and show the way. They came to practice with a positive attitude and helped the younger kids grow and get reps against stiffer competition. During the season, the U18 team surpassed my expectations. We were a team with small numbers, barely 2 lines, and we needed every player to contribute to get some wins. We ended up winning 4 games, 1 tie, and 5 losses, which is quite commendable considering we were playing against some schools who it was their first team, were older, and had more than double our total number of players. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we never got to play in the playoffs. We were a low-scoring team, but we defended well, had good goaltending, and were very disciplined. Our top forwards were talented and good defensively. Perhaps we could have surprised a few teams and made a run this year. Oh well. Finally, I want to thank the boys for taking on the challenge of entering a brand new RSCQ league and doing well. Also for being good role models for the younger players on the team. For the grade 12s, most of you, it was your last year of organized hockey, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed coaching you. Thank you, guys. All right, so this wasn't easy for individual awards. With only 2 players from each team getting an S award, it was difficult to choose. There were many candidates, and myself and Mr. Wells went back and forth. But for our only junior S, we decided to give it to a player we literally could not have gone without. He kept us in games, giving us a chance to win. He made some amazing saves and was, in my opinion, one of the best goalies in the league. The junior S goes to Riley Yip. And finally, our only senior S award goes to a player that was a surprise to me that he joined. This was a player who has battled many, many injuries in his hockey career that we all thought was all over. Luckily, Tristan convinced him to join, and we are thankful for that. He brought skill and intensity to our practices and made our top players such as Mateo, Sandro, Will, and Summer battle harder in practice. Most importantly, he finished the year relatively healthy, ending his hockey career on a good note. Dennis, you are the S Award winner for our team. For sportsmanship, this goes to a player who is a quiet leader. He wanted to play forward this year, but we didn't have the numbers. We needed him on defense. He was probably disappointed, but it never showed. Instead, he played defense well and became one of our top Ds with Summer. He is also a positive guy and good friend to all. Everyone respects him in the room, from the grade 12s to the grade 7s. Our sportsmanship goes to Will Towner. Please come up.
Our next program to be recognized is Senior Girls D4 Basketball and Miss Gagnon.
Hello. So first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Fies, Mr. Spurk, and the Health Center for their tremendous work this whole season. Writing speeches is not my forte, saying them either, so please bear with me for the next couple of minutes. At the beginning of our season, I was happy, I was excited, and I was confident we would have a great time playing ball. Knowing what we went through last year with no games on the calendar and mostly playing 3-on-3 every single day, this season looked very promising. During our first few practices, the girls were all over the court. Some girls were ball players while some others never touched a ball before. In addition, we had players from grade 7 all the way to grade 12. All of this could have been seen as a disadvantage, but I prefer to call it a challenge. We started our season with an impressive roster of 14 players. It can be a lot of players for a basketball team, but we never know when athletes get hurt, so it was good to have some extra players. We had a special player who made a brief appearance on our team for a few months after the season started, actually. That player was proudly wearing number 19. Oh, you want to know the player's name? His name was COVID. So that player that player made sure its teammates had a good long rest before they could come back on the court. So it is safe to say that having 14 players on the team was just enough. Our stats for this season were not the greatest. In fact, they were disappointing. We lost all of our games. But as I was writing the speech, I asked myself, why do we always ask athletes, hey, did you lose your game? Did you win your game? Or, hey, what were the stats on that game? Stats might be the best tool we have at our disposal to properly analyze and discuss the game in an objective manner. But that does not mean we should take them as gospel. There will always be things that cannot be measured precisely using stats, such as teamwork, team effort, and team spirit. And if there were stats on those 3 things I've just mentioned, best believe we would be ranked number 1. The best memory I will always remember was our second home game, Sarah ran up and down the court at the speed of light. Marlene grabbed every single rebound possible. Lucy explained the rules to Zoe and Kehoe while they played. Hallie and Amelia made up plays every time they were both on the court together. Crystal, Lisa, and Deanna smiled their way through the whole 40 minutes. Shauna splurged buckets. Both Dora and Gerda took care of our very important stats. And finally, Ariel made the whole gym screamed with an almost winning bucket in OT. Thinking about that game makes me smile because you guys care more about each other than you did about winning, and to me, this is worth all the wins. So, ladies, it's been real. Thank you for this season. And now for the awards. Ms. Hession and I had the difficult task to choose who would get an award tonight. Everybody on the team would deserve one for sure. Our senior S tonight goes out to a true leader who naturally took on that role since tryouts. She is a well-rounded player, and more importantly, she knows what to do and when to do it. Her work ethic is irreproachable, one of the best I've seen in a long time. She is a true pleasure to coach. The basketball D4 Senior S is awarded to Hallie Kana. The Sportsmanship Award goes out to 2 amazing players. Our first athlete had a positive attitude towards her teammates and did not hesitate to give a hand. She also takes every criticism you give her and applies the correction on the next play. She is the loudest cheerleader on the team. So the first Basketball D4 Sportsmanship Award goes out to Sarah Leisure. And finally, our second Sportsmanship Award goes to a player who had to leave before March break. Basketball was not her sport, but she learned how to play and appreciate the game. She was constantly asking questions to deepen her basketball knowledge. She was always there to support her teammates and to comfort them when they needed it. Our final Sportsmanship Award goes out to Dora Klankapman. Okay. Merci. Take your day. Oh, okay.
Our next program to be recognized is Senior Boys D4-1 Basketball, Miss Lamont.
Thank you, Mr. Spurk. Good evening, everyone. I would like to extend sincere gratitude to Mr. Spurk, Mr. Fies, and Mrs. Wolf, and the Health Center for all their support this season. Coaching and competing during a pandemic had many challenges. Our main focus was learning, improving, and having fun while doing these things. Our team had a mixture of Bantam, junior, and senior boys whose knowledge of the game and skills varied. They had little experience playing basketball at the senior level, and for at least one player, Boris, no experience playing the game at all. Everyone was eager to compete when we started in November, and boy, they didn't have to wait a very long time to play their first senior D4-1 game at home. Our first game was after 5 practice sessions, and our second game was 2 days later. Yes, you guessed right. These games did not go so well, but the boys gained valuable experience. I believed we could get better with more practice. Most players bought into the fact that they needed to get stronger and that they needed to practice on their own outside of practice times. I would see them in the weight room and on the court a lot, putting in the work. I was impressed with the level of dedication from the boys. It got to a point where if I had to miss practice and Mr. Spurk had to cover for me, he had nothing much really to do but quality control because the boys knew exactly what to do. Unfortunately, we're still trying to get Boris to remember the drills, but yeah, they'll get there. Our third game, we were a different team. The boys were running their plays and making most of their layups. I was extremely proud of how much they had improved. It was a roller coaster season with a lot of games being canceled and rescheduled, but the boys were always ready to compete, especially on the road. The boys looked forward to the famous after-game meal at McDonald's and the long conversations about varying topics on the bus. On our last bus ride, Jason and Boris were very confident that they could beat me one-on-one, even after David and Eric tried to convince them otherwise. I didn't disappoint the boys, and I played Mr. Shaw in a well-anticipated game. However, it didn't go as planned for Mr. Jason, as he went down 5-2. I applaud Jason for his bravery, but better luck next time. All the boys gave something special and improved lots, and if I could give an award to each, it would look something like this. Patricio, the most improved. Augustine, the Fierce Award. James, the Flair Award. Boris, the Most Dedicated Player Award. Bo, the Impact Player Award. Jason, the Draymond Green Award. David Dong, the Sharpshooter Award. Eric Kui, the Hustler Award. Luke, the Best Attitude Award. Joshua, the Fearless Award. Shun, the Iceman Award. And Mauricio, the Coaches Award. You were all awesome in your own way. Thanks for an amazing season. And now for the real awards. I will award 2 Senior S's and 1 Sportsmanship Award. The first Senior S goes to the player who received my Iceman Award. He was always engaged in practices and went hard all the time. He's super athletic and one of the most impactful players on the team. This Senior S is awarded to Shun Hatano. The second Senior S is awarded to the smallest and most fearless player on this team. This player amazed me the first time I saw him in tryouts. His size said junior team, but his skills and effort screamed senior boys D41. He didn't care that the boys were bigger and stronger than him. He would impose his will and rarely cared about the outcome. He is very coachable. I truly appreciated him on this team. This Senior S is awarded to Joshua Lippman. The Sportsmanship Award was very easy to decide. This player was voted by his peers as the best teammate. One player said, "He is nice and he keeps the team together. He always has a positive attitude and is just an awesome human being. He was like the assistant coach I wish I had. He had the best tournament layouts and knew how to run every drill. It is always a pleasure to have him on this team." The Sportsmanship Award goes to Mauricio Lopez Sanchez. Mao, Shun, and Joshua.
Our next 2 programs are Prep Boys and Prep Girls Hockey. For the first time ever, they will be awarding an MVP trophy for each respective program. It's important to note that we recognize MVP trophy winners with a standing ovation. Our next program to be recognized is Prep Girls Hockey, Ms. Tugas.
Thank you, Mr. Spurk. I'm honored to be able to give the first ever Prep Girls Hockey Team speech. Many times we hear about the last dance, but very rarely do we get to hear about the first dance. This season, the Prep Girls Hockey Team experienced plenty of firsts. From our first road trip to Port Hope, Ontario, where we got our first win against Trinity College School, to our first home game against Mount Academy. From our first goal by Darlene Ouimet to our first shutout by Julianne Tremblay. And from our first captain, Jamie Arsenault, to our first assistant captains, Rosalie Bouchard, Miley Pion, and Ellie French. It takes a lot of work to start a team. What makes this team even more difficult is that wherever we go and every team we play, everyone knows Stanstead College. Not only for our prestigious reputation and academic excellence, but for being home to the top hockey program and players in the world. This is not an easy feat to live up to. So every time you put on that Stanstead College jersey, you not only wear it with respect, you command respect. In life, everyone wants respect. You want people to respect you. You want people to show you their respect. I think it's tilted sometimes in life that we always want people to show us respect, but we don't show an equal amount of respect back to others. Subconsciously, the way you show respect, the amount of respect you show something or someone, is always in direct proportion to the preparation that you put into it. That is true in sports. If you respect an opponent, you're going to prepare. You're going to prepare a lot for it. If you don't have respect for a matchup or for an opponent, you won't prepare as much. That will be a subconscious decision sometimes. You might think, oh, we're playing so-and-so, I'm not worried about it. A bigger game, you're going to be more detailed, you're going to be more prepared for it than another game. So the goal is to try to have that level of preparation for everybody, which means you have to have that level of respect for everybody. Preparation doesn't guarantee a result, it just guarantees growth. Always know that. You might put a lot of preparation into something, it doesn't guarantee that you win. It doesn't guarantee a result, but it does guarantee growth. The more you respect somebody, the more preparation you put into it, and then you're guaranteed growth. Ultimately, that's what we're all trying to do in life. We're trying to grow every step of the way. So as we talk about a season of first, and for most of you, your first year at Stanstead, think about how you're going to prepare yourself to grow here next season. Thank you. I now have 3 Senior S Awards to hand out along with the Sportsmanship Award. Once I name the Senior S Awards and the Sportsmanship Award, the winners will come up and then we will name the MVP trophy. The first Senior S Award is awarded to a grade 9 player who quietly leads by example. She was someone we can rely on defensively and has the ability to read the game to know when to take her opportunities. Her hockey IQ is something that she will bring to her at the next level next season. The first Senior S is awarded to Emma McIntyre. The second Senior S is awarded to a grade 10 player who played every role we needed her to play and exceeded expectations. Whether it was a forward or defense, she played with everyone and anyone and made all those around her better, a skill that only the top athletes have. The second Senior S Award is awarded to Miley Pion. The third Senior S Award is awarded to a grade 10 player who was given the role of our leader of the season. She set a standard for what it means to be the Prep Girls captain and has left big shoes to fill next season. Although she could not make it today, the third Senior S is awarded to our captain, Jamie Arsenault. The Sportsmanship Award is awarded to a player who luckily cried more happy tears than sad tears this season. First, she brought the waterworks when we revealed our dressing room. Then she cried again after scoring her first goal as a Spartan. Although many tears were shed, she is a player that uplifts her teammates and treats everyone with respect, but more importantly as a friend. This season, the Sportsmanship Award is awarded to Alexa Gagne. Our last award will be our MVP trophy. This recipient is also receiving a Senior S Award. This player arrived in September knowing very little English. As she became more comfortable off the ice, she became more confident on the ice. The ability this player has to tilt the ice in our favor by a shift, a play, or a goal is something that a coach can take for granted, but as a player, you may never even realize. This player was our leading scorer this season, and we never doubted her every time she stepped on the ice. As they say, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. This is only the start of her potential, and once she believes in herself, anything is possible for her. The winner of the MVP trophy and Senior S Award is number 7, Rosalie Bouchard.
Our next program to be recognized, Prep Boys Hockey, Mr. Ryu.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mr. Spurk. Good evening, Spartans. Big thanks to everyone who contributed to making the 21-22 school year and hockey seasons happen, especially to everyone who pivoted, adjusted, changed their plans, and dealt with the physical and many mental challenges of these historic times. Special shout out to the student athletes, that's you, for believing in Stanstead College, and to all the fans for such outstanding support during the many home games at the Pat Burns Arena. There were restrictions, but we did have a wonderful start and finish. And lastly, a heartfelt thank you to Coach Guy Willett for being a truly great co-coach. Some quick numbers. The team, as it stands now, has a record of 26 wins, 5 losses and a tie in 32 games. We've finished the regular season first out of the 12-team Metropolitan League, and currently the team is ranked 3rd in the entire province out of 49 Division I U18 school programs. The overall makeup of the team consists of 27 skaters who've played a game or simply practiced. That's 15 first-year Spartans, including 3 of whom came up from the growing thirds team from last year, as well as 6 second-year Spartans and 6 third-year Spartans. That includes 13 Canadians, 6 Americans, and 8 Euros. Now, enough for the numbers. What to say tonight? What to share? Well, I believe the great Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam said it best when he said, "It makes much more sense to live life in the present tense." Why, you may ask? Well, we cannot control what happened yesterday. Tomorrow remains full of unknowns. So we might as well enjoy the locker room, the ice, the morning practices, the off-ice training, the bus trips, do our very best each day to smile, to laugh, to work hard, and to have fun playing the game we love. To me, there's nothing better than being together in the moment with this awesome group of fellas. That's you right here. It's been an enjoyable journey every step of the way coaching this team, a talented team, a team that loves one another, a team that hams it up in the locker room and then goes out and works tirelessly each and every game on the ice, a team that's handled adversity and played with class, a team that's played the right way. For the oldest 3-year veterans and returning 2-year guys, sure you can all recall the 2020 playoffs being canceled and the entire 2021 season being canceled. Now, here we are with a few playoff games remaining and the opportunity to attend the provincial championships in Quebec City next week. An opportunity to live in the moment as a team together. And to quote Neil Young, to keep on rocking in the free world. We know what happened the past few years. We can't predict where we'll all be down the road. So let's simply enjoy this moment right in front of us, right in front of our faces, right now, and ride out the wave. Let's make the most of our opportunity that you, fellas, have earned. Let's live in the present tense. Now, I'll be perfectly candid, and I'm not going to take away from any of the winners. I do have some apprehension talking about awards, being a program that still has some games to play. But all of these are merited, they're warranted, they're well-deserved, and that's not to take away from all of the effort and passion of all of the others who will not be recognized. So a handful of Senior S awards for what I would call coachability, work ethic, achievement. And these players have really stood out, I think, for most of their consistency. The first goes to what Guy and I believe has been our top defenseman, most consistent, hands down our most offensive player, 25 points in 30 games, has brought great speed, skill. That's Juho Virtanen. The second made up a fantastic duo to start the season, and I'd like to just take this moment to say a big shout out to Tomas, who's lived through hell the last couple months back in Finland with a serious knee injury. And his absence gave opportunity to two young men who Mr. Wells and Mr. Winquist recognized earlier. It goes to show the program's alive and well. They've had great opportunity. But it's left Zev Brown with a lot of work, and he's handled the pressure exceptionally well. He's played 24 games, 18 wins, 4 losses, a .911 save percentage, and a 2.12 goals against average. He's done well, and we know he'll keep doing well down the stretch. That's Zev Brown. I remember meeting this young man when he was in 8th grade to see the towering figure he's become now in 11th, second-year Spartan. Talent just oozes out of him, and with a day he believes that he can do what we've tried to tell him on a daily basis, watch out. 26 games played, 30 assists, 11 goals, great vision and speed. He's really turned it up the last 6 weeks. That's Marcus Kratz. It brings me great joy to talk about the next two fellas. They both joined the program in 9th grade. They've been on the team for 3 years, both captains. The first is Antoine Remillard, alternate captain. He's the point-leading guy on our team, 43 points in 31 games played. Quietly goes about his business. A good leader on and off the ice. Again, lots of growth, and to be able to see what he's been able to do over his 3 years has been very impressive. So, Antoine Remillard. And the final Senior S goes to our team captain, also 3 years in the program. Made great strides since 9th grade. He's been at Stanstead for 5, was on our thirds team for 2, so another example of great growth and development internally. He scored some huge goals for the team, plays with a big heart, very quiet, leads by example, and we know we're going to need him down the stretch here. 14 goals, 16 assists, 30 points in 28 games. Our team captain, that's Dominic Pecora. Now I'm going to hand out this sportsmanship trophy in a moment. Before that, I just want to make a special honorable mention. We have 2 other boys that have been on the team for 3 years. The She twins, Leo and Kevin. They were with us 3 years ago. They practiced last year when we didn't play a game. And this year, because of their age, they were too old, and they stuck it out. They've been to 90% of our practices, been in the room, great skaters with a smile, and I think they bring Guy and I great joy in the sense that there's no entitlement, there's no sense of what can you guys do for me. They're just happy to be there, and I think it's worthwhile mentioning that because I can't think of very many student athletes that would have had the courage to be able to go through that and never be able to play a game. So thank you to Leo and Kevin. So the sportsmanship trophy goes to a 3-year Spartan, outstanding student athlete. He's honest, he's respectful, truly an awesome person. He's lived through a little bit of adversity, overcome some great personal deals this year, while being a real sound and quiet leader on a daily basis. and that's Cédric Beauregard. Come on up, fellas. So just before the final award, 3 short sentences. Merci les gars, on n'a pas fini, believe. Our final award tonight is also our leading goal scorer with 23 goals, 11 assists, 34 points in 29 games played. An alternate captain that was made a captain halfway through the year. He's honest, he's humble, kind, he's a great teammate to all. And I believe to anybody that's ever watched us play, he stands out and he's very noticeable. Most importantly, I think he's come a real long way from a year ago. And I think that's another example of what Stanstead College can do for young men and women. There's been much personal maturation and growth in this young man. And so the Senior S and inaugural Prep Boys Hockey Most Valuable Player Award goes to Eli Antoine. Thank you, merci.
Our next program to be recognized is the first program of the night that can give out Major S awards. We recognize Major S winners with a standing ovation. Speaking for the squash team, Monsieur Marino.
Thank you. Before I start this speech, I'd like to make an observation. Great boarding schools like ours allow these moments to celebrate you, the students. And having the opportunity to watch the grade 12s get their prizes, to go see the play, I know sometimes it can be daunting for some of you to sit there and listen to so many and you don't get something. But the beauty of a school like ours is that we have so many programs that you're going to shine somewhere. So today, and everything that we do when we are a community, is to celebrate each other, and you should celebrate each other because you're wonderful human beings. All right, now, squash. So in every Shakespearean book and play, there's a moment of comic relief. So I thought I would do that today because I have some fantastic individuals in squash. Obviously, 14 came out, and I kept the 14. They seemed to be really keen, excited to come out and play, and I was really excited because I've never coached squash before. I learned squash at Stanstead College in 1991, and then Mr. Spurt thought, well, you know, you can hit a ball, so let's go. So I had practices every day with these wonderful kids, and unfortunately, we didn't have any matches. And it's hard to motivate people all year long, and especially on a long term like the winter one, to get these kids to do it. But I will say 95% of the time, they were very keen. Now, motivation is one of the greatest attributes of a very good coach. As you saw today in the basketball game, 1-0, thank you. Some kids kind of got a bit lazy, and I said, okay, what am I going to do? Well, some I took their phones for a week, which is a great practice of mine. And then I had this one individual who I didn't know what to do because he just wasn't moving around on the court. And at one point, I made the decision to say, everyone is going to do stairs. And I got this person, and I scared him, and I said, if you don't do stairs, I said, if you don't start moving on the court, you will do 10 stairs. You know who that is. Are you ready, everyone? Lamb Wham! He is now, he moves so quick. It's outstanding. And by the way, I want to do a shout out for Lamb because we teased a lot, but he's got, he's a good sport. And you know what? He has the potential of being a very good athlete. So kudos to you. So no competitions. So look, I'll go right to the awards. I thank you. I had a lot of fun. I know it was a long winter, and I wish you the best in the future. I have 1 Bantam S and 2 Junior S. The Bantam S, I'll be honest, I'm amazed how good he was and how hard he worked, considering that he has so much hair that he can't see. Like literally his hair was down to here all winter. But he kept on improving. He did an amazing job. And the Bantam S goes to the guy who has the same name as me, Roger Marcoux. The Junior S, a tennis-minded person, comes from the warm weather of Mexico, and he just became a better player. And I think probably, and I would say that, but I really like his name, and I really want to say it out loud. So, the Junior S, for a really improved player throughout the year, Emiliano Ibarra Giovannini. And lastly, he has a Junior S and the Sportsmanship Trophy. Honestly, they're every day keen, improved, got better, organized, and asked a million questions. And I did answer them all. And unfortunately, he's not here today because I think he's quarantining, being sick, Braden Chastanet. So please, Roger and Emiliano, come up.
Our next program to recognize is curling, Mr. Planeta.
Tough act to follow there, Mr. Marino. Thank you so much, Mr. Spurk. And I want to thank the curling team. This was a very, very interesting winter. As most of you know, I enjoy talking about curling. I enjoy coaching curling, and I enjoy talking about curling, and I enjoy curling myself when I go out and curl. And this was a challenge because this was actually, maybe in hindsight, it was like the best fit ever because this was a total team of rookies. Everybody to the team was brand new. No one had ever curled before. They did not know the rules. They did not know the game. What Mr. Coughlin was to basketball, this group was to curling, just to give you some analogy of what I'm talking about here. It was also a super motley crew that was in there. I don't want to steal too much song material from Mr. Ryu there, but this was a total motley crew. I had every grade represented on the team and every dorm represented on this team. But I really appreciated their enthusiasm for the game because they were really taking to it every single day we were out there. They were super eager to learn. And sometimes, like any teacher, any coach, you're there and you're talking and talking, and sometimes you're wondering, like, are they getting it? Do they even care? And then when you're done your sentence, and then they have like 2 or 3 really good follow-up questions, and you're like, yes, they totally are into it. You know, they totally bought into this. It was pure joy. Also, whether they realize it or not, you made every minute count this winter. I was the one that ended every practice. I think we've all been in class there. Maybe you've been at a practice where somebody's packing up a little too early, you know what I mean? Somebody noticed the clock and suddenly there's some shuffling, you know. And that never happened once on this curling team. No one pointed out the time, and then finally I would glance at the clock and realize that we had to get out of there. So I really appreciated the enthusiasm and the fact that they made the most of the time that we had on the ice. I want you to think back to the first couple of weeks. You know, when you're walking around on ice in sneakers, of course there's going to be some falls, there's going to be some spills, and then as the game went on, if you know curling, you've got to get a 40-pound stone about 140 feet down the ice. And we had, you know, as kids were learning to throw, we had a bunch of stones halfway down the ice because they couldn't make it there, and the other half of the stones all the way down and out the other end. So we had to find a happy medium that was there. And then a few weeks later, I stopped scrimmage. A few weeks later, I just pulled the plug. It was like, stop. Everybody just stop for a second. And Kira said, what? And Thomas said, why? And Joel said, what's going on? And Riley said, we do something wrong. And Ace said, what is happening right now? And Eric said, nothing. And Mia said, what's going on? And I said, look at the ice. Every single stone was in play. All 16 stones had made it over the line and weren't out the back. Every single stone was in play. And on top of that, one of the teams in the scrimmage was sitting for 5 points. And I said, like, remember a couple of weeks ago, we could not get the stones where we needed them to be? Look at what we built this. You know, you've all come so far this winter. And I said to them at the time, if we're ever sitting 5 points at the end of an end against BCS or against Galt, we're going to be in very good shape. It was awesome working with you this winter. I look forward to it every single day that we got out there, and I'm so proud of the progress that you made. For those of you that are moving on, I encourage you to seek out curling opportunities. There's curling clubs in many different locations. As you move on, seek out curling in your area, and those that are staying, I hope to see you on the ice again next winter. I do have a few awards here that I want to mention, and you can all come up together at the end. This girl came a long way. She had super good communication this winter. She communicated very well with the rest of the team. I also appreciated how patient she was, and she was always one with a few extra good questions about what we were doing and why we were trying to do it. And I hope I pronounced her name right. I have a senior S for Anais Grapp. By the end of the season, this guy was our best curler. He's super quiet, as I mentioned already. He got the job done. He was very stoic. You know, Wayne Gretzky always said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. This guy was so good, he was only missing about 80% of the shots he didn't take. I have a Senior S award for Eric Zhang. And finally, helpful, positive, helpful, always a kind word, always supporting the other players, a positive force on the team. I have the Sportsmanship Award to Thomas LeBlanc. Come up and get your awards.
Our next program to be recognized is Volleyball, Miss Robitaille.
Thank you. I'm glad to see I'm still young. I don't have to put my glasses on. Coming in. And before I started, I just would like to wish Leonie Sayer happy birthday. So this year, I was really excited about coaching volleyball again because after a full year of playing again against each other, we could finally hope to play some games. I thought I would already know what my team would look like because of the returning players and some that I recruited from beach volleyball. Of course, I was wrong. I actually showed up on the first practice in the gym, and I was amazed to see that there was 30 girls trying out. So I told myself, oh my gosh, it's gonna be hard to choose. So after 3 evenings of shuffling the cards, I finally decided on 16 girls. But do you know what it's like to manage 16 girls when only 6 people could be on the court? Well, Miss Ali and I just found out. So right away, in our first week, we had our first game. I was impressed to see that the girls were able to pass the ball around without knowing each other's name. I thought, wow, we will be great. We're gonna be dominant. And then we came on our first tournament where we saw what real volleyball was. We certainly had the potential and a lot of hope, but not yet sufficient confidence to excel. In short, we learned a good volleyball lesson. Starting there, I realized we will have to work hard to compete against each other, other teams. So I pushed my girls hard to work intensely, sometimes maybe too hard, and I saw girls get stronger over the season and work hard to get a spot on my top 10 to travel, because in our league, only 10 girls can dress up. So I saw, for example, Leonie, who was unsure whether she could travel with the team or not, but who gave 100% every day and finished in the top of the team. Or Ariella, who took every piece of advice to work on all facets of her game and became a pillar on defense. Or even Victoria, who used all her talent to embrace a new role on the court. So thank you, girls, for this beautiful lesson in perseverance and determination. This demonstrates the true values of a Spartan. Then December arrived and January passed. February, where all the girls got COVID, one after the other, and then we ended up practicing with only 8 players. In short, we were back to the same point as last year, playing against each other over and over. What a disappointment. Then, like a fairy tale, a nice ending for us. 1 week before the end of the season, we learned that we would be able to have 2 more tournaments. So the first one went pretty well, we had fun, but the second one, on the other hand, was, let's say, interesting. So we learned several things. The rules are the rules. Volleyball is serious. We are not fooling around with that. We also learned that despite adversity, you must know how to get back on the basic, which is the pleasure of the sport. I saw extraordinary things during these tournaments. I saw, for example, Christine finally deciding to use her overhand serve and managing to make at least like 6 serves in a row. I saw Katie impose herself on a game to lead the team on defense. I saw Kellyanne bend her knees on defense. Yes, it's true, I saw that. I saw Elle being literally judged by the referees because she was screaming her head off to encourage her teammates. I saw Samantha sacrifice her bracelet to recover a ball on defense. I saw Florence put in place all the elements we work on during practice to complete impressive attack. And I saw Viviane strike every pauses to honor the phrase, fake it till you make it. In short, it's a shame that we didn't have the chance to have more games or tournaments because every time we were able to travel, we have unforgettable memories. I would like also to thank Mr. Spurk for his confidence and his desire to develop our league, and Mr. Feist for his support and good music. And finally, I would like to thank Ms. Ali for volunteering this year and help me out with all of this. You taught me a lot, and it was a pleasure to work with you to demonstrate that volleyball is truly a senior sport at Stanstead. I would also like to thank the U2 manager for offering me such exceptional resources of drill to know how to play volleyball. It was really useful. So now it's time for me to recognize athletic prizes. So just like choosing the players at the beginning of the season, choosing award winners was very difficult. This year, the sportsmanship goes to Ariadna. If you haven't met this girl yet, take time to get to know her because she's one of the most beautiful personalities I've trained. Her soul is so resplendent that it makes everyone around her shine. For example, even if we were playing against each other during practice, she was always making sure to encourage and recognize good moves. In short, her attitude was impeccable from the beginning to the end, and I would definitely take 16 girls like you next year. Now for senior S's, my second prize goes to a girl that I call the Wall. Alex was just too good at the net. If we had the misfortune to send the ball to the sender, you can be sure it will come back just as quickly. Although she was on the younger side, she never seemed intimidated. She took her place and knew how, and demonstrated all her talent. She's the kind of player who could certainly get a scholarship if she persevered in this sport. In short, your talent and your positive attitude on a daily basis, for all of this, you deserve a senior S. My 2 other senior S's are put together because we couldn't decide between them. No matter how much we compared them, we just couldn't. So they were both dominant with their cannonball serves and their solid games in defense and their involvement in all practices. Although they were only in their first year of volleyball, we can obviously say that they were a real athlete. They quickly understood the basics of the sport and they were able to dominate on the team. For all these reasons, Maya and Lisa fully deserve this award and recognition of their dedication this year. Good job, girls. And for this very last prize, I would like you to join me in celebrating this achievement. This major S goes to an exceptional captain, a remarkable player, and a real leader. Sophia is one of those exceptional people I met in my life. Despite her 5 feet and her calm soul, she naturally knows how to command respect of her peers. When I saw her last year, she was afraid of making mistakes all the time. By pushing a little, she realized that it pays to be confident and to take risks. She has become dominant in all facets of her game and certainly an example to follow. Sophia has a golden attitude. She never complains, she always laughs, but she knows when it's time to be serious. In short, after 2 years spent by your side, I realize how exceptional you are. You're smart, funny, and genuinely outgoing. I'm so thrilled to see you evolve on a daily basis and to see which leader you will be for the future generation. For all these reasons, you fully deserve to be recognized for your true value with this major S. Congrats, and above of that, thank you. Thank you. I don't have
Our next program to be recognized is the first program of the night that, along with Major S Awards, can award an MVP trophy. That's not true. We just gave MVP trophies before. All right. Speaking for the swim team, I need glasses there, Mr. Robitaille. Speaking for the swim team, Mr. Belknap Keats.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. I can't do it. No, bigger typesetting this time, I think. I tried. All right, good evening, everybody. This year's swim team was made up with quite a mix of students. Some of them, like Rachel and Jérôme, came to the team with some experience already behind them. Other ones came to the team, had never even dove into a pool before. Even a few of them couldn't actually swim. Well, not a few. Logan couldn't swim from the beginning of the pool to the opposite side without actually having to stop in the middle. So a really kind of wide range of talent here. However, if I were to summarize the entire season into just one word, it would be progress. With little opportunity for competition due to the pandemic, see, even with the glasses, I can't see what I wrote. This came into the form of the achievement of personal goals and personal development. I have many little stories that I'd like to tell. First off, though, I'd like to tell you about this one particular one involving Ms. Zimmerman. Ms. Zimmerman would always cringe every time she'd watch Logan swim across the pool. Not so much because he would stop halfway there, but he had this tendency to keep his mouth open every time he put his face into the water. She would literally turn away and say, I can't watch this, I can't watch this, every single time he was there. Now, that said, this was at the beginning of the season, and Logan showed a great deal of improvement by the end of that. I could also tell you about our occasional water basketball games, which I think Jean actually preferred to actually swimming. We had a great amount of fun with that. But what I really want to tell you about tonight is just one particular story. This story starts on the very first day of practice. As I mentioned before, we had a large range of talent trying out for the team. Some of our swimmers had never dived into a pool. One such student was Go Kono. Now, don't get me wrong, Go was a decent swimmer. He just hadn't had experience diving. Despite this, he tried. And I'll never forget the shade of red his chest was when he got back out of the water. It was something like this. After practice that day, I asked all the students to message me if they intended to come back for swimming the following day. And here's a little excerpt from the message that Go sent me. Hello, Mr. Keat. Thank you for the swimming club today. It was very nice to have been able to swim. It was very painful when I went splat on my stomach when I dived, so I'll have to improve my diving skills. I just want to let you know that I will come tomorrow. That was a great thing. He actually fessed up to getting hurt in a kind of funny way, but was willing to come back and keep trying. So right off the bat, I knew I had someone special in Go. But that's not the end of the story. Let's fast forward now through a lot of practices, a lot of red bellies, to the last day of practice. Now, on the last day, we do hold this kind of sort of competition. It's like a little mini Olympics, but it's not actually about swimming. We do things like who can hold their breath the longest. We have a synchronized swimming competition. Who can gather the most objects from the bottom of the pool? Now, the last part of the competition was the one that could make the biggest splash. Everyone took their turn with varying degrees of success. The very last swimmer to try, now this is at the very, very end of the very, very last practice of the year, was Go. Now, Go is not a very heavy guy, so no one was expecting much of a splash. In fact, contrary to most people, he didn't even take a running start. He just carefully walked up to the side of the pool, and he looked back at us. With a little grin on his face, he put his hands up over his head, and belly flopped right into the water. Flat out, biggest splash ever. It was the perfect end to my season. Okay, he came out with the biggest smile on his face. We were all in tears. It was hilarious. Now, for someone that doesn't say much, he has more humor than I could ever believe. It was hilarious. It was the perfect end to a fantastic season. So Go, Jane, Elizabeth, Logan, Buddy, Jérôme, Simone, Rachel, Sophia, Gabriel, Ryan, and Sarah, thank you all for making such a fun season, and congratulations on all the progress you made this year. Tonight, I'll be handing out 3 awards. The Sportsmanship Award goes to a junior student who wore a smile to every practice. She could often be heard praising and encouraging her teammates and her positive attitude throughout the difficult, something skipped here. Again, the glasses. Her positive attitude throughout even the difficult training sessions kept her going, but even kept her teammates going. The Sportsmanship Award goes to Sophia Martinez. You can come up and get it, Sophia. No? Okay, that's yours. Oh, never mind. Apparently, I should have wrote something else down here. Okay. The next 2 awards go to 2 senior students who joined the team with prior experience. Rachel's skills and knowledge were a great benefit for the team, and she was a great asset to me as well. Having her demonstrate correct position and movement made my job as a coach much easier. Jérôme's dedication to improvement made him an ideal student athlete. He never questioned my advice and consistently worked to shave seconds off his times. Senior S's go both to Rachel Chan and Jérôme Sayar. Now you can come up and get them. They have certificates for that church.
Our next program to be recognized is Senior Boys Basketball, Mr. Liverpool.
Thank you. I guess I can take this off. Thank you, Mr. Spurk. Good evening, everyone, distinguished guests. I'd like to start by, first of all, saying, Mr. Kaufman, I think you might have been a little hard on yourself. I saw what you were doing out there, and I think you did some good things. So don't take it so hard. I think you did better than you think. At the risk of being that guy and making this all about me, I want to start by saying that it's long been a goal of mine for a team that I coached to win the League Ethics and Sportsmanship Award. As a coach, I've always sought to teach my teams to play the game the right way, with passion, pride, and respect for the game itself, for the rules, and for our opponents. However, I could never really control my passion for the game, at least that's what I call it. And at times, I let my emotions get the best of me, AKA, for lack of a better word, looking back on it now, I was a bit of a jerk. I spent more time focusing on and arguing with referees. This often led to me receiving, and I'll point out that they were probably all warranted, quite a few technical fouls. And as a result of receiving technical fouls, that immediately eliminates any chance or opportunity of receiving or earning the League Ethics banner. So it took some time and maturity for me to realize that this is not the example that I should be setting for the young student athletes that are under my charge. This said, I have to admit that this is why I am so impressed by and proud of this group of young men. While our season was not perfect in most respects, very few are, this group displayed a great deal of maturity and respect for the game and all that that involves. They listened, they did what they were asked to do, and rarely complained amidst the season chock full of COVID-related disruptions and setbacks. In other words, these young men were able to succeed at a very young age at something that I took several years to even realize was important. So this probably sounds like a coach, I guess, rambling on and on about how great his team was, and well, yeah, I guess that's exactly what it is. I'm very pleased and proud to have had the opportunity to ramble on and recognize this group for their commendable effort that they put forth this season. So as you've probably guessed by now, your Stanstead College Senior Boys D4 basketball team was this year's recipient of the RCQ Ethics and Sportsmanship banner. And as I mentioned to my guys when alerting them of this achievement, wins are often the determining factor when considering success in sports in our society. But I don't think that that's all it should be. You're going to hear many stories of success this evening, and I hope that we, as a family and a community, are able to recognize and appreciate and applaud each and every story, not just those stories that quote-unquote end up in victories on the scoreboard. In closing, I just want to say thank you to each and every member of this team for making this season one of my most memorable. To Justin, Chaz, David, Xander, and William, see you guys next season. To George, David, Gordon, Jack, and Denzel, I wish you all the best as you continue your educational and hopefully athletic careers. Please try not to lose your love for the game. In fact, I hope that you find it in you to get out there and encourage your peers and your friends and your families to get involved and make sport a part of your everyday life. On a final note, cheers and congratulations to all of you in this room this evening on your not only your athletic achievements, but your athletic involvement. I think it's very important, and it's something that we here at Stanstead, I think, do extremely well. I know sometimes you guys complain about how much you have to do and have to go to this practice and that game, and the fact that you guys are involved in sports every single day pretty much throughout your entire school year is something that not a lot of schools and places can boast, and the fact that you guys do that for the majority of the time with a smile on your face is really commendable. So congratulations to everybody here in this room tonight, and thank you very much. Oh, it looks like I have a lot of paper here. I got about 8 pages, double-sided, but this is for Ms. Roby because I do need these. So this font is about size 20, just to make sure that I can see. So it's really not as long as it appears. The first award that I'd like to give out tonight will be a Senior S. This young man, and I realize that I've probably said this before about him, is the hard hat type of guy that every single team needs. While he'll be the first one to admit that he's not the quote-unquote best at the game of basketball, he never allowed this to affect his determination or his effort. Instead, he worked hard at improving his skills and silently urged others to join him, as he often led by example. In a difficult season of ups and downs, this young man remained that constant, calm, senior voice that went a long way in holding things together. For these reasons, a Senior S is awarded to Jack Lippman. The next Senior S award is also the recipient of the team's Sportsmanship Award. This next young award winner is probably one of the nicest, most genuine young men that I have had the pleasure of working with in my coaching and teaching career. So I guess it makes perfect sense that along with the Senior S, this young man is also the recipient of this year's Sportsmanship Award. In a year when our entire team was awarded the RCQ League Sportsmanship and Ethics banner, to earn this type of award on this team, I think, says something special and is quite the feat. Along with his obvious skill and production on the court, this young man displayed incredible manners and respect off the court, and in doing so, represented himself, his team, his school with exceptional style and class. For these reasons, a Senior S in this year's Sportsmanship Award goes to Justin Bouchard. You guys can come on up now, please, and receive your awards. The final award this evening for the senior boys basketball D4, is a Major S, and this Major S award winner is also the winner of the team's MVP award. I'm going to spoil it right away. I'm guessing that it will come as a little surprise when I reveal that a Major S and this year's MVP award have been awarded to our team captain and leader, George Correa. Grab a seat, folks. Sorry, thank you. Grab a seat. Oh, sorry. Stay there, George. Sorry, that's my fault. Obviously, I made a mistake. I should have waited until the very end to say his name. I just wanted his name out early so that when you were listening to me speak about him, you would know who it was. But at any rate, sorry, George. Just have to sit with us for a minute or two. So, George, the only returning member of this year's team, this young man proved that there's value in experience. An oft alluded to fact is the fact that this young man's first love is not basketball. I think we all know that. However, his athletic ability has allowed him to not only play the sport of basketball, but to excel at it. a quiet, reserved young man, he was able to step to the forefront this season as a leader both vocally and physically. Easily one of the most talented players in the league, this young man set the path for his peers to follow, and follow they did. He remains a true representation of what hard work and dedication can do when applied appropriately. George was, without question, our team leader on all fronts. He arrived to practice every day, ready to work, and took it upon himself to make sure that he was always at the front or at the top of every drill that we did. Consistently, once again, leading by example. For all these reasons and more, a Senior S is awarded, and the MVP trophy is awarded to George Marcelo Correa. Congratulations, sorry about that. Thank you very much, everyone.
Alright, so normally this would be given by the head coach. We all know that Bernie Pim. Mr. Pim is not here right now. He is preparing for next year's hockey season for the JWHL adult coaches south of the border. So I've been asked to make the speech on his behalf. I want to start by congratulating all the players and coaches on a successful winter campaign. It's not a full season. We all know it's been said a few times. We had a few interruptions. But it was a welcome return of winter sports. 21-22 was another great year for the varsity girls hockey team. It was also my first year having the pleasure to assist on the bench. Let's be honest here though, I definitely learned more from this group of girls than they learned from me. And for that I'll be forever thankful. We won most of our games and defeated some great opponents. You all played hard and fast and electric hockey, and even after some of our seriously long breaks from competition. So there was never a break in focus. Even to defeat opposing coaches and players and parents, took the time to share with us their admiration of your selfless, organized, efficient style of hockey. Let's focus on defeats for just a second. As a team and as a program, you continue to learn how to lose with pride and dignity, finding a newfound respect for your opponents in every loss. You always learn from the loss, you came back stronger the next time you took the ice. We lost some big games this year. In most cases, there were games we played well enough to win. It was in these losses that we learned to stick together, dig a little deeper, be a little more disciplined, a little more focused, and as a result, got just a little bit better. I know I will never forget my second road trip as a coach to Boston. No head coach, COVID. No team manager, COVID. Down 3 players before we even left, COVID. Then down another after crossing the border, COVID. We almost pulled out the win being down another player with a shoulder injury and having a goalie wearing the opposing backup goalie's skates. A shootout loss for our troubles. That was one of the greatest games of hockey I've ever seen, and I'm so grateful you all came together in that moment. We saw a great NCAA game while we were down there. We had some laughs. A few people cried. I was one of them. But I think we all got through it and we're better for it. Beyond the wins and the losses, this group of girls continues to succeed on and off the ice. All 6 of our grads are advancing to hockey at the next level, and it's some very good programs. Megan to Brown, Svenja to St. Cloud, Gracie to Yale, Camille to Concordia, Stephanie to Union, and Annika at a location still to be determined. Moving on to college hockey at a normal time is a major accomplishment. Doing it in COVID times, having played just 30 games in 2 years, that's an exceptional feat. Bernie and I have nothing but great respect for these players and wish them the best at the next level. You can be sure we'll all be watching. In the classroom, these girls continue to thrive, with 13 landing somewhere on one of the academic honors lists, and 6 of you at or near the top of your classes. You continue to prove that hockey players at Stanstead College can be more than just great athletes and teammates, great students as well. Finally, as coaches, we can be so proud of how much our girls participate in the broader community at Stanstead. Whether it was in last week's tremendous play or through one of the various clubs or animations on campus, our girls participate fully and on a constant basis. In our program, we emphasize doing more for Stanstead as opposed to waiting to see what Stanstead can do for us. We want players to strive to leave our program in better shape than it was when they arrived. We feel lucky and blessed to say that our girls are invested in this collective vision. Thank you, girls. Thank you for your care and commitment, your efforts to becoming even more connected as a team. With 13 girls returning next year, we look forward to another great year, hopefully one where we can count on a normal rhythm and routine of games. Just remember that there will be some big skates to fill, but I know that for a fact that you're up to the task. On to our award winners. The senior essence. We have Megan Pilon for her resilience and consistent fight. Sven Voigt for her unbelievable consistency and striving to get better every day. Beatrice Benalroy for her deep care and commitment for her team and for the program. Janet Befontaine for her strength and performance. Angela Brown for her rise towards becoming a dominant player on our team. For her constant commitment, for her constant compete and desire to win. Thank you all for her senior roles. I've been informed I made a mistake. I can admit that I made a mistake. The Sportsmanship Award is going to go to Camille Shaw. Camille wins this award because she's our best defender in games and practices. She dominates a part of the game that the team needs to do well to win constantly, yet rarely gets credit to do so. Beyond her play on the ice, Camille is beloved by every single teammate because she is kind, compassionate, and ultra consistent in her demeanor. Congrats, Camille. Major S awards. To start, we have a player that, without her in the second period of our second game in Boston, without coaches and without team management, and with a player injured in the locker room, and no other coach to take care of the bench, essentially stepped up as the assistant coach on the bench with her maturity and leadership, and seriously bailed me out of a tough situation. Gracie Gilkison is getting a Major S award for her flat-out ability to affect the game and their favor as well as their tremendous positive attitude. Grace Gilbertson. Our next major S is going to go to our most consistent performer on and off the ice. You'll always see her in the gym or working out hard, and she's particularly a big player in big games. We can't wait to have her back next year, Emma Kreis. Final award winner of the evening was a difficult decision. We have so many great players, dominant players, who enable us to win more than we lose. In choosing this award, we went with a player who was just a little more consistent than some of the others we were considering. She is usually in the thick of things offensively, but has also learned how to defend like a true warrior. She comes with leadership and consistent excellence on and off the ice. Your MVP award winner and Major S award winner this year is Stephanie Bo.
Before I begin, I'd like to piggyback a little bit on Mr. Spurk's comments about the Skittles crew and offer my own thanks as well. It's a tough, pressure-filled job, and every Spartan basketball player in here appreciates you. I want to thank Coach Wolf, of course, who had to do even more this season than usual with me missing games and trips due to COVID. Thank you. And finally, I'd like to thank and congratulate my advisee from 1999, Mr. Spurk, for running such a smooth athletic program during such a rough pandemic. And just so you fully understand what kind of Spartan Mr. Spurk is, despite being super busy in his first year as athletic director, and being a house director, and being a new dad, he still volunteered what little free time he had to create and supervise a brand new recreational volleyball program. Why did he do this? Simply because there were students who would benefit. No one bleeds red and white more than Mr. Spurk. Team and the season afterwards. The sportsmanship award goes to a player who did something I never, ever could have done myself in high school. If I had a season-ending injury and had to watch my teammates play while I couldn't, I would have been a whining, complaining, miserable ball of self-pity. But not this athlete. Instead, this player took it upon herself to be a constant source of positivity, always enthusiastic, always helpful, and always the loudest cheerleader on the bench. I could not be more impressed with this player's maturity and team-first mentality. Sportsmanship Award, Team Captain, Sienna Webster. The first Major S goes to the most well-rounded player on the team. I am not exaggerating when I say that she can do it all. Shoot from outside, score inside, rebound, pass, rip balls out of opponents' hands, block shots, make steals, dribble against pressure. Whatever a coach would like a player to do on a basketball court, she does it. And on top of this ridiculous skill set, she has a high basketball IQ, she's tough as nails, and here's the craziest stat, she's only in grade 9. Major F, Melissa Tapia. The second Major S will come as no surprise. She joined the senior team back in grade 9, a skinny little kid who loved basketball. Over the next 4 years, she worked as hard as anyone had ever coached to become an impact player. And all you had to do was watch her performance at senior night to see how far she has come. But it's not her skills alone that made her the face of senior girls basketball these last few years. It was her love of the game, her love for Spartan basketball, and her love for her team. No one cared more. And honestly, what's more important than that? Major S, team captain Rosemel LaFave. When I think back on this team, years from now, I will be thinking, the first thing that's come to my mind is this photo. Shannon took this photo right after senior night, and she somehow, like she so often does, she was magically able to capture the perfect moment right at the perfect time. I've been coaching a long time, but I'm confident this is the happiest basketball photo that I've ever seen. Something has to be number one. This is it. And I know you can't see it from way out there. I wish you could. But this picture is the photographic equivalent of pure joy. You guys are like cute little 6-year-old versions of yourselves after walking downstairs on Christmas morning, seeing all the presents under the tree. Pure, innocent 6-year-old joy. Easiest, the happiest photo ever. The question is, why are you guys so ridiculously, insanely happy in this photo? Some might say because we just finished winning a game. They would be wrong because we won lots of games this year. We were never this happy after a game. It clearly wasn't because we won. Some might say it's because the game was really important, like a playoffs final. They'd be wrong again. We play in a league where we can't even go to the playoffs because it's during our March break. I'll tell you why you were so happy. It was because it was the perfect ending to the journey that was our season. First of all, it was senior night. So if you were a senior, you wanted your last basketball game ever to be special. And if you weren't a senior, you wanted the game to be special for your senior teammates. Also, it was a big home game in front of friends, in front of family. You wanted to show them how far you've come. And it was against the #1 team in the league who were undefeated up to that point. Those are the things that set this up as the most meaningful game of the year. And then, like a Disney Hollywood movie, you brought everything together, everything you've worked on all season, and when it mattered most, you played the best game of the entire year, and you knew it. When the final whistle blew, you knew you'd done something special. That's what this photo is showing: your pride, your joy, and your love for each other. Like a lot of people, I watch the annual 64-team NCAA basketball tournament every year, March Madness. If you're a fan, you probably know that March Madness always finishes its coverage after the final championship game with a video montage called One Shining Moment. So they showed like a 5-minute video with all these clips from the tournament. What I love about One Shining Moment is that it doesn't focus on the team that just won the national championship. You'd think they would, but they don't. Instead, they draw their footage from all the amazing moments that happened during the tournament to all the teams. Yes, someone did end up winning, but one shining moment was about the 3-week journey that every team took, because every team had their own memories, their own highs, their own lows, their own intense, important things that happened. And all these memories together make March Madness the incredible sporting event that it is. And this photo for me, this was our one shining moment captured perfectly. A moment that encapsulates everything that we went through this season, that we built towards this season, from Stanstead to New Brunswick and back, from strangers to teammates to friends, from November to March, all the way to senior night, where you came together the last game of the year and played better than you ever thought you could, and you did this for the seniors and for each other. Thank you for letting me be part of this photo. And even more, thank you for letting me be part of the journey. You made me proud, you made me grateful, and of course, you made me happy. Thank you very much. Yeah, there is one more award. Pardon me. Final award. It's the Best Ferguson MVP trophy for excellence in sportsmanship in girls basketball. And it will be shared between the two major S winners, which is kind of fitting as one player's era is ending while another's is beginning. MVP trophy goes to Melissa Kakiak, Antoine, and Rosemont LaFave. Come back up.
Our program of the night, varsity boys hockey, Mr. Thompson.
I'm going to start with a couple of thank yous. First to all the students, your behavior tonight, incredible. I think at a time where we haven't got to do this very often, it shows the true culture of this school. To you, the students, as well as fans, early in our year, definitely, we had some moments where we needed some energy, and I think that playing at home a lot really helped us. And I'll talk to Denzel and Tristan, because they were leaders in that, so thank you to you two and to everyone else as well. Fellow coaches, Coach Renas and Coach Willie. Coach Willie had to get into the bromance a bit, but me and Mr. Renas have been together on this for a while. It's not easy to be on the road as much as we are, so when you can be on the road with people that you like to be there with, it goes a long way. So thanks to both of you. And then to our 7 athletes that were in the play last week, I think you did a phenomenal job. And every time we go out recruiting, it's really important to us to be able to find people that can buy into everything that we're supposed to do here, and I think you're great examples of that. Kind of like Mr. Van Dyke, I'm going to start with my awards. Hopefully I get through all of them. So first, Sportsmanship Award. Without a question, one of the most respectful athletes I have ever met. His approach, discipline on the ice, and the way he takes care of his body are unmatched. His pregame routine is more intense and focused than many of us are during competition. A true gentleman who loves and respects exactly what sports are supposed to be. Sportsmanship Award, Rahito Hama. The next award is a major S, the second youngest player on the team, but a leader and a captain, and someone who has had tremendous amount of talent through his 2 years so far here. A goal scorer, but at the same time a player who does all the little things well and truly prides himself on hard work. His goal scoring ability is the obvious, and his skills often result in some of the "how did he just do that" moments, as Jack Tracy likes to say. His willingness to work back to our zone is really ultimately probably what puts him into the major S category, because he's not just a one-dimensional player. So a major S to Jeremy LaRue. Second major S award, shifty, quick, elusive. Other teams struggled to contain him, and our team relied on him, and he didn't let us down. Big goals at big times, and some bigger goals at bigger times. A huge driving force within our offense, and a very good penalty killer, which for our team this year seemed to be pretty important. Major S, Chapa Mantu. There's traditions to follow at a school that's almost 150 years old. Naturally, these two guys should come up together. Smooth skating, to the point it looks like at times he's floating on the ice without a skate on the ground. Our leading goal scorer and a senior that helped to lead our offensive charge. Much the same, a big-time player when our team needed a spark late in the games, and a player who got better when the pressure was at its highest. Major S, Nathan Geiger. A major S to a unique talent who is setting his own course, showing just how skilled a big defenseman can be. When he was in the lineup, it was a guarantee there would be something highlight reel. Away from the high-skilled plays, he was a great captain and a leader who always showed hard work and focus. In a team game, his ability to change the course of a game by himself like no one I have ever seen as a defenseman. Or maybe a rover, I'm not quite sure yet. A truly elite talent, Major S, Liam Steele. Last one, Major S and the Dawes MVP Trophy for excellence in sportsmanship in hockey. A 200-foot player that made a difference in all three zones. A bottomless shot from the blue line, puck transporter in the middle, and a physical D-man in our end. All while having the respect and love for the game that is needed. From block shots to power play minutes, I simply would not have wanted to play a game without him. A true Spartan who returned this year after a less than perfect first year here 2 seasons ago. I am very proud to award a Major S and the Dawes MVP Trophy to Axel Yellowbody. I'm going to start by try to bring us all back to May 13th, 2022 at Upper Canada College, Canadian Prep School Alliance National Championship game versus Rothsay Netherwood School. This right here is the game card I brought into our room for our pre-game meeting. Like any of the games of the 45 we had played, I tend to keep things quick and simple. A coach's work, in my eyes, is done in the preparation leading up to the game, not so much in the coach's talk before. Come game time, I believe it is time to sit back and enjoy the competition. Coach only when a coaching opportunity presents itself. A few days earlier in our first game of the tournament against BCS, I echoed this same thought, that our players were ready and it was time for us to enjoy the fun of competition and the rewards of our preparation. I knew it was going to be a good weekend. In that same game against BCS to open up the tournament, we created a visual of a mountain on our dressing room door, and each game represented a summit of that climb. We knew that there would be moments where things would be tough, and the further you got up the mountain, the thinner the air would be, and the harder we would have to work together to be successful. When I reflect, in reality, our year as a whole was just the same. Some days we climbed faster than others, some days we didn't climb at all, but we never lost ground. And over time, we climbed higher than the day before. At times, different players took the lead, and when we were at our best, everyone was working together. For the national final game, I read the following as my pre-game address. September 26th, 5-4 win versus BCS. October 3rd, 3-2 loss against Rothsay. November 4th, 2-0 win versus North Star. November 5th to December 19th, 12 losses in a row. February 13th, 5-2 loss versus UCC. February 27th, 5-1 win versus Rothsay. March 13th, present day at the time. And lastly, Friday, September 10th, our first practice and our first day of school. The 3 additional points I made were play to win, let no one deny you. Number 2, have fun. And number 3, you've earned it. Each day mentioned in my eyes represents important lessons along the way. They speak to positives and negatives of our season, but most importantly, they speak to learning and the idea of climbing a mountain throughout whatever conditions are put in front of you. To me, the most important date was September the 10th, the first day of school, and our first, and to be fair, maybe our last true team meeting. At that meeting, we set the goal of winning the national championship. A lofty goal, yes, but in my mind, realistic if we believe and agreed on a process to get there. With that as a goal, we made a rule as a group to do things along the way that we felt would allow us to win in March. This became something we rallied behind. When times were rolling early, it was proof of who we were. When times were tough, it was us figuring out what we needed to do to be better. But by adding up those singular events, we felt confident going to the finals that we had inside what was needed to win in March, and we did. I started writing this with the idea of talking about winning, and then going to the process. As I refined and reread this speech, I realized quickly in talking about winning, I'm more or less only talking about the process and the preparation that we use within our group, and not the act of actually winning or how the boys accomplished that on the ice. Last year was a year like no other, and this year much the same again. We had weeks of highs in November and December that many would like to forget, but if we did forget it, that we really learned the lessons that were there. I'll be honest, during those 12 games between November and December, they were tough on myself and Coach Vanoss. There's a lot of moments in hotel rooms where we were just wondering. We lost confidence. And truly and honestly, we wondered and flat out worried if we were going to be able to find the ways to help our team get out of what was becoming a pretty big role. Coach Willie showed up. We didn't lose confidence in the players. The reality is they're pretty good. They're pretty good hockey players, and we knew that. But we were losing in ourselves as young coaches trying to lead. Could the way we wanted to coach Stanstead hockey work? A post-game in Trenton, New Jersey, saw our team ask for a little bit more tough love. Admittedly, we tried it for a game, ended the losing streak, went on Christmas vacation feeling pretty good, but inside me, I knew that the solution was not fake tough love for me, but was instead going to be doubling down on who we as coaches believed we were, which is teachers. When I look at the success this year, it was not because of tough love. It was not because of X's and O's. It was because we as a group played to our strengths. We found ways to get everyone on the ice, gave people opportunities early, so they would be ready if and when needed for an opportunity later in the season, and ultimately created a team where everyone enjoyed showing up to the rink and putting in the work. The best X and O hockey can create a beautiful sight on the ice, but it doesn't always create the atmosphere and the feeling inside a dressing room or on a bench that will help when the game isn't following the script. And this year, we were off the script a lot. Our success was dictated by a feeling the boys bought into, and this helped create a lot more than any of our coaching tactics could have created. Our first game of the season against BCS, which was at home, we were down 4-0. We won 5-4. In between the second and the third in the Nationals, in the semifinals against Ridley, we were down 4-1, and we got to reference what we call the look in your eyes. It's hard to describe, but as a coach, this group of kids had a look in their eyes that would make you feel confident when surely you shouldn't. We made countless comebacks this year because as a group we simply believed and wouldn't let each other think otherwise. As I spoke in the semis against Ridley or other games throughout, that feeling without our players even saying a word gave me confidence, belief, and in a weird way, felt like we were in the driving seat. It was a very special feeling as a coach. I'm proud, and I'm super proud of our group, and I'm a proud coach standing up here today and getting to speak last because it means you did something right. When I coach my son Gabe's little hockey team, what I say to him and the little guys that are on his team is no different than my final message to you as my team or to everyone else sitting in here. And it's the only message my parents instilled in me when I was an athlete, and it's still to this day the only message that they preach or say to me when I'm coaching. Have fun. Just have fun. Find a way to make sports fun. In our case, hockey, but now lacrosse, rugby, tennis, or any other sport, you're youthful, or any other sport within your youthful sporting lives, just find a way to have fun and enjoy the learning that is there. Sports mimics life. Our season is proof of that. We found ways to bring fun to the rink when the results were weighing on us. Finding the fun kept us learning, which resulted in your gloves in the air at the end of the year. Congratulations on a great season.
Thank you, Coach Thompson, and thank you to all of you for your excellent behavior this evening. I'll leave you with a few things. One of them is, at some point between now and June, I hope you find your coaches and you do give them a heartfelt thank you. Because without them, and I'm a testament to that because I went here, this doesn't happen. So make sure to challenge you, find your coach, and give them a heartfelt thank you, because what they do for you all winter, all fall, and now all spring is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. So find the time to thank them. And also, as you walk home, think about your final season and how you want it to end. Engage fully in your teams and take in all the spring has to offer. A final thank you to all of you again, and to all the award winners. Due to some of these beautiful sermons you had tonight, study is now over. All the award winners should stay behind for photos, and to the rest of you, good evening.